All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Nick Petro at the National Weather Service in Raleigh with a Facebook Live event. We're going to talk about Wednesday's winter weather, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. And it's 3:30. It's Tuesday afternoon, the 2nd of January. And the way we're going to do this here is we kind of walk around the Operations Center here at National Weather Service Raleigh. We're going to visit with our Science and Operations Officer, Jonathan Blaze, and he's going to give us a little discussion about what we can expect and some of the stuff going into our thought process with this winter weather event that we're expecting. So we're just going to walk around here. All right, and here we are with Jonathan Blaze, otherwise known as JB, and for the discussion here. What do you think is going to happen here? Folks watching want to know, how much is it going to snow at my place?
Well, at your place, it's going to take us hours to cover all those details with everybody's location. But let's talk about first, how much snow are we expecting to see? So you can come ahead a little closer here, and on the screen here is our latest official snow forecast for central North Carolina. This was updated just in the past hour or two. And this is our expected official Weather Service forecast in terms of snow accumulation, beginning really Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon, all the way through very early on Thursday morning. In general, you can see that the greater amounts are further east, which it shouldn't be surprising because we're looking at a coastal storm that'll be developing tomorrow and then moving up the coast. Lesser amounts to the west. Also, what's not highlighted on here real clearly, but we are expecting is a very tight gradient in terms of range, where folks to the west will have very little snow, if any snow, and then you won't have to travel too far east to see what we expect to actually be potentially shovelable snow in the coastal plain. So real quick, just to highlight areas along and especially east of Interstate 95 from near Fayetteville up east of Smithfield and up toward Roanoke Rapids, we expect accumulating snow near and east of there on the order of 1 to 3 inches. In the far eastern parts of those counties, eastern Wayne, perhaps eastern Edgecombe, maybe even localized amounts approaching 2 to 3 inches. As you head further west between Interstate 95 and US 1, we expect ranges, snow accumulations on the order of 1 to perhaps 2 inches, and then amounts tapering off fairly quickly as we head to the Triangle area and points westward. Now, while we've had very cold air in place for the past several days, and I don't need to tell you about that, many snow lovers out there are very, very excited, thinking that, well, it's so cold, it's going to snow, it has to snow. You know, we've had temperatures this morning that were as cold as 7 or 8 degrees in parts of central North Carolina, but it doesn't always work that way, and we are still in a situation where there is a chance that we'll have some mixed precip in a very far southeastern portions of our forecast area. Right now that is kind of an outlier, but that is one concern we have. In addition, this forecast has been problematic in many ways in that this is a coastal storm that is going to rapidly develop off the coastline, and with it, we're not real confident in terms of how far west and northwest the precipitation shield will extend. And I can show you an example of that on this screen here. This is a simulated radar product. If I back up real quick, the state of North Carolina is shown up, and these are different model simulations in here. Don't get too hung up on which model is which at this point. Just pay attention to the general theme of what we're seeing here. And this is tomorrow morning at about 7 o'clock, and we see precipitation off the South Carolina coast. The precipitation is developing quickly and rapidly down in the Florida and Georgia area. And then as the morning wears on, as we head into mid and then late morning, and by early afternoon, we see the precipitation spreading north into the coastal regions and then eastern South Carolina. And as we head into late afternoon and then toward nightfall, this is at 7 o'clock, we see an area of precipitation across much of central and eastern North Carolina, both these simulations, but a very sharp cutoff in terms of how far west the precipitation, the snow, is expected to fall. And that's one of the big problem areas that we're struggling with in terms of accumulations. In addition, I mentioned earlier there could be some mixed precipitation. That is a concern we have. That would likely be down in places like Clinton and Goldsboro as some warm air works its way into the region. So the big picture is that we are confident we are going to get a winter storm in the eastern parts of central North Carolina, primarily in the coastal plain, As we head west into the Triangle and the Piedmont, we expect more of a nuisance type event with coating, maybe half-inch or so of snow. And for our friends out in the Triad, at this point, the best case or worst case scenario, depending on your point of view, would probably be some flurries, perhaps a little dusting in a few spots. Now again, it's been very cold for the past several days. When precipitation does fall, we do expect it to accumulate readily and rapidly. This is not a situation where it's going to take a while for the snow to begin to cover the ground as it falls. With very cold ground temperatures, we expect that to happen quite quickly. I don't know if you want to do some questions, or I could talk a little bit more about maybe some of the diagnostics that we did today. One other thing, I guess, real quick, I could highlight just before we go on, is that we do have a winter weather advisory that has been issued for locations in our coastal plain. That's to the south and east of Raleigh, but it does include Cumberland County and Fayetteville, Johnson County, including Smithfield, Wayne County, and Goldsboro, Sampson County, Wilson, and Edgecombe counties. This is the area where you do expect some accumulating snow, at least up to an inch, perhaps 2 inches, again with more amounts to the south and east, lesser amounts to the west. We'll continue to monitor that. If the indications are that more snow is expected, winter storm warning could be required. At this point, we've held off on that at this point.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. So let's, maybe if we have time, we'll get into some of the diagnostics, but let's address some of the questions first, and then maybe that'll lead us to some diagnostic type information. Behind the iPad, we've got Jamie Morrow here, who's our camera person. So big shout out to Jamie, and thanks for holding that iPad nice and steady.
I wouldn't call it steady.
Nice work. All right, we're going to hit a couple of your questions. So Jamie, go ahead and take it away with those questions.
Yeah, sure. So one question we had, Jonathan, you touched a little bit on this. A lot of times we deal with a lot of mixed precip types. You have a lot of rain, you got mixed with snow, maybe starting off the event. Is this a unique situation where we're going to see just snow, or is there going to be some mixed precip types in our area?
For most of us, this should be a snow event. And for most of us, it should be an all-snow event. A few locations, especially down toward Clinton, Goldsboro, we may see a tendency for some sleet to mix in, especially at the onset. For all of us, we are reasonably confident that it will end as snow. Mm-hmm. So this is somewhat unusual. However, a tendency with cold air masses like this is for forecasters to be lulled into a thought that it's so cold, it's got to be snow. 100% chance, all snow, not a problem. And rarely does that truly happen in this part of the world. And as we see now, as the storm draws closer and the data becomes clearer and more refined, we do see some indications, at least some mixed precipitation or southeast. Our official forecast right now, at this exact moment, does not include that, but it is quite likely as we update forecast this evening and tonight, we do add a little bit more sleet, perhaps even a little freezing rain, but mostly sleet to locations to the south and east of Raleigh.
Okay. A lot of people were asking about storm track and how that may impact. If we see if we see a western track, what would occur? And then if it was even further east, what can we expect? So what's your confidence on the current track, and what type of differences could come along if that were to change?
So what's new today is that there's been a slight westward shift with the storm track on the order of 25, 50 miles or so, I'd say, on average. So in general, that would tend to shift the greater accumulations westward. So where we might expect 1 to 2 inches, that might be closer to 2 inches. 2 to 3 might be closer to 3. It would likely take a significant adjustment for those amounts to go up much more rapidly. With that said, many of our friends on the internet have been looking and finding certain computer models that suggest very extreme snowfall accumulations. And there are seemingly endless sources of computer guidance and models and things like that. And for snow lovers, there's usually one model at least that will give you some record-breaking or shovelable snow. And this is no exception there. So there are some computer models out there that have the storm much further west and much more intensity with truly significant snowfall across central North Carolina. Right now, we think those are outliers. We have very low confidence that any of those would occur. But still, in the range of possibilities, those are valid. But we have several reasons why we think that those aren't likely to occur.
Yeah. And as we're getting closer and closer to the event, what type of impacts specifically should we expect in those eastern areas? What are you most concerned with?
All right, so that's a great question. Nowadays, we talk a lot about impacts, and not so much did I get 1 inch or 2 inches, but more how is that going to impact my family, my community, our safety, and things like that. So with the ground temperatures right now, typically we get data from our friends actually at the State Climate Office, who have ground soil temperature sensors that are about 4 inches in the ground. Right now, this morning, they were registering temperatures in the low and mid 30s, which is very, very cold. And while all those may not be below freezing, that will allow snow to readily accumulate on the top of the surface. So we do expect the snow to accumulate, for slippery spots to develop, and for accumulations of snow to begin. And it won't take a lot for snow to begin to cause travel problems. In addition, the ground has been so cold that sometimes when you get just a little bit of snow and you put traffic on it, especially during a commute time, the snow will melt a little bit with the compression from the tires and the heat of the cars, and melt a little bit. And with the temperatures as cold as we expect them, and the ground is cold, then that could actually cause glazing to occur on some of the bridges and even the roads. So that is a concern as well. And finally, behind the storm system, as it exits, another truly Arctic air mass is going to pour into the region. And if we do get a snow cover, that will only allow and promote the chilling effect. And we expect low temperatures on Friday night, Saturday morning, and also Friday morning to be well into the teens, with some places likely going into the single digits. So another series of nights of truly brutally cold weather for this part of the world. Yeah,
and as we begin to wrap up, I do want to remind everybody that if you're looking for a specific forecast for your location, we strongly recommend you go to our website. That's weather.gov/RAH, and Jonathan actually just bringing it up here, and he can actually show you the point and click aspect, so you can actually get down and dirty and figure out exactly where you are and actually search by city, or you can actually use our point and click map to click on your location and go right to it.
And if you can't remember RAH, you can type in Raleigh. If you don't want to, if you like the extra keystrokes, you can do that. That'll work as well. But we'll pick a forecast here for our friends in Johnson County, perhaps near Smithfield. And right now we have a winter weather advisory up for those areas. See our point and click showed an area just north of Smithfield. And our forecast, again, includes snow developing in the afternoon, becoming steadier in the very late afternoon, but especially in the evening and overnight hours Wednesday night, and the snow wrapping up before daybreak on Thursday. And so we have accumulating snow in that area. One thing real quick, Jamie, we didn't talk about was the timing, and I know that's important to many folks. We expect the morning commute tomorrow to be no problems at all. In fact, don't be surprised if you see a little bit of sunshine working through some high clouds. So you could even need some sunglasses on the way into work tomorrow. But as the day works on, we expect clouds to increase from the south and southwest, and for ceilings to lower and clouds to thicken up during the afternoon. Precipitation likely won't begin in our southeastern areas until mid-afternoon, and then spread north and east during the course of the afternoon and evening. So most folks, their evening commute won't be impacted, especially from Raleigh and up toward Rocky Mountain and Roanoke Rapids. But down to Fayetteville and Goldsboro, those places, precipitation will likely be starting as we head toward dark. So it could be some impacts there as well. With the heaviest and most widespread precipitation likely falling during the late evening and early overnight hours. So if you're looking for snow and you want to get up or stay up, I'd stay up between 9 and perhaps 1 or 2 in the morning. And that's your best chance of seeing snow in much of our area.
Very good. Well, I'll pull Nick back in here, and one last question. I've seen a lot of our observers checking in and telling us where they currently are. How can they help out in this type of a snow event? What can they do to actually help us out during the forecasting process?
All right, so there's a lot of great ways you can submit what is going on in your backyard. We can never have too many reports of snow, what you're experiencing. Snow reports are very helpful for us to know what's going on and to be able to make appropriate tweaks to the forecast as needed. If you measure snow, if you observe snow and you measure it, be sure to get on our Facebook page here and report how much you measure. You can also go to our webpage at weather.gov/Raleigh, and there's a link down at the bottom where you can use an online form to submit your snow report. So again, if you take the time to go out and measure it, take an extra 30 seconds and let us know how much you measured. You can do it right here on our Facebook page, You can tweet us. You can go to our webpage here and submit that form. So, Jamie, thank you. Jonathan, who stepped out of the camera there, thank you for that in-depth discussion. And let me just leave you with this. Be sure to catch us on our webpage, weather.gov/Raleigh. If you don't see us here doing these Facebook Live things much as we head through this event, don't worry. There's other ways you can connect with us on social media. You can check out our Facebook page. You can check us out on Twitter. You can check us out on YouTube. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel where we post other videos. We do briefings. Recorded briefings in many cases, at least twice a day, multiple times a day. So check those out. Those are recorded and posted on our YouTube channel as well as Facebook and Twitter. Also, again, be sure to check out, again, our webpage at weather.gov/Raleigh. All right, I think that's it. We'll continue to post your comments there below the link to this video, and we'll try to get to those and answer as many questions as we can as we head through the evening. All right, thanks so much, and stay safe this event. Thank you.